Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Well, folks, today's going to be an interesting one, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. So it looks like this 2025 is the year where there's beef, right? Various people are beefing in media. And there have been two schools of thoughts as it pertains to the NBA. There's been a particular faction of people that say that the game has lost its way. There's no more defense. There's no more balance in the game. Players don't seem to care. Load management is run rampant, blah, 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 blah. But there's another group of people that say, no, look, you should appreciate what you're seeing. You should praise the game. You should praise the players. Stop being so critical. Be more complimentary, right? So these schools of thought, the people that tend to think that are maybe like the JJ Redicks, the LeBron Jameses, the Gilbert Arenases, and those people like that. And then you have the other people that sit in the other school that say, no, things are worse, like the Rob Parkers, the Shaqs, the Charles Barkleys, and some other voices out there. And now there seems to be a convergence taking place, and the linchpin to all of this was really when LeBron went to the Pat McAfee show, and he went out there and he went at different people like Stephen A. Smith, Brian Windhorst, and he even decided to sneak this voices like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. Now, why did LeBron say that? He said it's just kind of this weird energy. Guys are being very critical of the game and all of that. Now, I don't understand what LeBron was talking about personally, because LeBron also said that there are a lot of changes that need to be made in the NBA. The league is taking too many damn threes and pertaining to the All-Star weekend. So he was kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth there. I don't really understand why he took that position. But nevertheless, a lot of people felt like he was taking a shot at people like Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. So what happened? This morning, I woke up and I came across a series of clips that were centered on Shaquille O'Neal not only responding to critics, but also directly responding to LeBron by saying, look, number one, you wouldn't have this longevity thing had it not been for the era that you're playing in the cupcake era. And number two, he fired back at the people that are essentially trying to get him to bow down and basically go out there and twerk it up all day long and pour honey all over himself and holler and scream and just basically capitulate to whatever messaging point that they want to be disseminated out there. So what we want to do is want to play what Shaq had to say in response to LeBron. And he didn't hold back, trust me. And I want to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Shaq had to say here.
Do you think LeBron's longevity is a byproduct of the change in the physicality of the game too?
Definitely.
Okay.
Less physical. Right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like, guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy. But when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But people get mad. It's just a product of what I see. I've seen what greatness is. Been there, played with them. I don't see that all the time over here. So you want me to give these motherfuckers the same props I'm giving them? That shit will never happen. So you can call it hate if you want. But even with the word hate, like these kids that like to throw that word around. If you ain't great and I'm great, how the fuck can I hate on you? That don't make no sense. I'm in the building. You're not in the building. So how the fuck can I hate on you? People say Charles and I, we're ruining the game talking about the product because the product is shit. Show me greatness. Like, y'all pay a lot of money for these shoes, and I want to see because be great. And I'm going to always stay on them and motivate them to be great. They can call it hate I want, but I ain't sucking these out just because they're making $400 million. A lot of these can't play.
So you heard what Shaquille O'Neal had to say. Okay, let's itemize what he said and let's respond to it. He spoke about the era that LeBron plays in, and that plays a role in him being able to kind of benefit from longevity. Yes, Shaq played in a more physical era. It is already known that when Shaq was playing, teams were scoring about 97 points a game, right? Today, teams are scoring about 114, 115 points per game. There are more possessions, number one. So there are more opportunities to score in today's game. Therefore, there being more opportunities for you to gain more points, number one. Number two, the advent of the three-point shot. Teams are attempting over 35 threes a game. To put that into context, in the 1998 season, the Chicago Bulls attempted 14.1 threes a game. So their teams are taking about 3 times the amount of threes that they used to take then. So obviously with more threes, you can accumulate more points faster. Number 3, given the fact that players are shooting more threes and bigs didn't really shoot threes back then, it's easy for you to compile a lot of points rather quickly. So you have that. We talk about the lack of physicality. There aren't many big men in the game today. The lanes are usually wide open. Teams are spread out. How do we know this? Because the way the game, the philosophy is now, the big should be able to stretch the floor. And if you can't stretch the floor, hell, you can't even probably play. You probably can't even get an NBA contract. So if the bigs are stretching the floor, that means the paint, there's a lot of freedom of movement. Today, players can flash through the paint. Nobody's going to check them, hit them in the chest or whatever it is. There's just a freedom of movement. With that freedom of movement, it removes the physicality. By removing the physicality, you remove the toll that it takes on you for playing. If you think back to when Allen Iverson used to play, Allen Iverson was willing to take the punishment for going into the paint, right? And he was still able to score over 33 points in a game. Today, if AI played with the lack of physicality and resistance, AI would be scoring 36, 37 points a game if he decided to. So Shaq does bring up a point there. That's the first point I wanted to address. Let's get to the second point that Shaq brought up, which is these guys trying to get them to, suck them off and all of that. Look, what Shaq is saying is true, okay? What I have noticed is that the narrative is they're trying to shape the narrative, right? And they want the narrative to be whatever it is that they want to be. So what I am noticing, just through sheer observation, is that there's a bunch of people in media that just seem to have the same talking points. And they're all trying to go with that one talking point. So many of them, right? And they're all, and it's almost like if you're not on this agenda, then you're against whatever it is they're trying to promote. So therefore, you're on the outside looking in. And they have been able to kind of intimidate people, silence certain people, because they may not have the resources, the platform, etc. But what happens in a situation like with Shaq is that Shaq is in a very unique position. Number one, Shaq has the credentials in terms of the accolades to be able to speak to any NBA player that may have an opposing view towards him. There's no NBA player currently playing that can basically son Shaq with their accomplishments. There's nobody, right? So if there's somebody that disagrees with him, who's the guy? Shaq is a 4-time champion, regular season MVP, 3 times finals MVP, most dominant player to ever play the sport. So who made 1,000 all-star teams? So who's going to G-check Shaq and basically use his words G4 classification? Who's going to outqualify? Nobody, right? So Shaq has that on his side. And what has happened is that, given the fact that Shaq has the accolades and the accomplishments, Shaq can shut down a lot of NBA guys that are pushing that narrative because he was more successful than them as an NBA player, right? So they can't bully him that way. You have that aspect of it. You have the other aspect of it from the financial aspect of it, and trust me, it does play a role. Finances play a role. Shaq is worth what, $400 million, right? And given the fact that Shaq has FU money, they can't control him the way that they control other guys that may just go up there and pander because they're trying to get to a bag or get in the good graces of a particular person. Shaq doesn't care. Shaq's wealth is not tied into being friends or chummy with a certain set of people. It's not. Shaq is a legitimate businessman. Shaq makes his money outside of the NBA, so they can't affect him that way. And given the fact that Shaq has all of these things in his corner, it then gives him the impetus to be able to speak the way that he spoke, right? They can't intimidate Shaq the way they would another person. They can't do it. And then physically, they can't intimidate him. So when Shaq sits there and talks, you can't do nothing to him. You can't do nothing with him. You can't affect him financially. You can't call him out as being an NBA player. You can't try to silence him by shutting him down or slowing down his YouTube page. You can't do that. Shaq is on a major show with a major network. So you can't do any of that. And Shaq understands that he has all of these advantages, and therefore he's able to call out this nonsense. And I think it's important because Shaq said something quite important, which was this. He said, how can I be hating on somebody I'm more successful than? He makes a good point. Shaq is hating on the young. Hating about what exactly? What is he hating on? Shaq is already considered a top 10 guy of all time. So what is he hating on? He already has hundreds of millions of dollars. So what is he hating on? He is already well respected as an NBA player. What is he hating on? And he brings up a fantastic point. They throw the word hating around as a way to try to shame you for having a different opinion than them. But when they go out there and say crazy things about other players and other eras, that's not hating? No, of course it's not, because you agree with them. And what I think is important is that people like Shaq and Charles and others, they need to have an opposing view to this nonsense, because I see what they're trying to do. They're literally trying to shift the narrative to whatever it is they want it to be. And people like Shaq are saying, no, we need voices like that, for God's sakes. We need these voices. So I don't know if Shaq is going to see this video or not. He probably won't. But if he does, please keep the good fight going, because they are trying to gobble up everybody. They're trying to collect everybody like Infinity Stones and have them all saying the same damn thing. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.